Monday night to everybody. We're back with you on a McFiles Monday night Memorial Day special. We're grateful to have our dear buddy James Akers back with us tonight. I know he was just on here Friday, but with it being Memorial Day, I wanted to get his thoughts about some things tonight, and we got some breaking news out of Iran we'll talk about. James, good to see you tonight, buddy. And we had a good show with you last week, and we got another one I'm sure planned tonight. And happy Memorial Day to you. You're a veteran. But I know that you were in Vietnam, and I'm sure you had friends that died in the line of battle there. But that's what we do. We honor the fallen, and we want to thank you for your service, and thank you for being our friend here too with the network. Good to see you on a Monday, and I hope you're doing well, friend.
Well, I am, and thank you very much for that. I made a series of calls around several folks that I was in the military with. We used to fly off the coast of Vietnam in past days, and special memories and special bonds formed with those that you serve in combat with, and it was good to catch up with everybody's life.
I'm glad to hear that. We've not really talked about this and all the time we've been doing shows together, and I wanted to talk with you about it tonight. You did serve in Vietnam. I got a dear friend in Jacksonville that served in Vietnam, and of all the wars that the nation has been involved in, that one has always stuck out in history as being one of the most brutal, simply because of what happened with the bureaucracy here. And it wasn't a failure on the soldiers' part, but a lot of the deaths in Vietnam, I believe, were caused more by bureaucrats than they were actually that we didn't defeat the enemy. A lot of it was our hands were tied. And that's one thing about war. Nobody wants war, but if we're going to enter a conflict, don't tie the hands of the soldiers. Would you speak to that tonight a little bit? How you felt over there as a soldier, because there were a lot of deaths. A lot of these deaths we are honored tonight really go back to Vietnam and World War II, and of course the First World War we got involved in, and really from the Revolutionary War on, there's always been death, but Vietnam just stung a little bit, man. The way people treated the soldiers coming home was despicable. And my friend in Jacksonville, he still, to this day, he says he feels somewhat, I don't know what the word is. It's not betrayed. Maybe that's a strong word, but he just feels like that, the Vietnam vet is probably the least appreciative of all the wars. And I can't argue with him based upon what he's told me what went on over there.
Yeah, when God's just been so good to me, and I have on several occasions been asked to speak about my experience with the war, and I typically will use one of three examples. My best friend in college, we did as much playing cards as we did going to class. I managed to pass my classes. He didn't. He flunked out. The day he flunked out, he got a draft induction notice and went to Vietnam. I'm not even sure he knew where Vietnam was on the map, and stepped out of a Jeep and onto a mine, and they couldn't even gather all the pieces together, and so I go down and I pay tribute to Alfie. I called him Alfie because he looked just like Alfred E. Newman. His name in Mad Magazine.
Yes.
I mean, nobody on campus knew his real name. Everybody called him Alfie in those years. And his real name was James Lakins. He was from Indiana. And when I was in Washington, D.C., I would go visit the Vietnam Memorial. I have it memorized where his name is etched on the memorial, and I would go there and pay tribute to him pretty much every year. And it's a reminder of the cost of war. He left a girlfriend, had a life he was planning, and it all got disrupted by the Vietnam War. And the Vietnam War was an interesting war in that during the course of the war, um, uh, by the end of the war, we weren't even required to wear uniforms to fly from one place to another because of the reception that we would get in airports if we were in uniform. And there was a lot of hostility and opposition. And in my case, it was just my family had always served, and we're always proud to serve. And this country is so special that you need to, in my opinion, be ready to make those sacrifices for service. And so I I I had it very good. I was a Chinese linguist in those years, and we flew just about 8 combat missions to Vietnam each month. It was a long flight to get down there. We refueled in Tonkin Bay, and uh, the people that I served with were just very special. We were the last uh, group that was drafted into the military. I can still remember in a college dormitory where we had a TV, and we watched the lottery, and your life was decided basically by somebody pulling the uh, uh, you know with birthdays on it, and I had an extremely low number, and I knew that I was destined for the military. Others were just euphoric because if you had a real high number, you could just about get any job you wanted in those days. And so it was a curious time. And then I had another experience, Chris, and I didn't mean to make this thing all about me and last forever, but my grandpa got sick, and the Red Cross provided a way for me to come back home on emergency leave to visit him. You take the first available transport. The first available transport for me was in the back end of a transport aircraft flying back into the country, and I was the only person in the sling seat in the back end, and the plane was loaded with coffins from the floor to the ceiling, just as many coffins as they could put in there. And so it was me alone with those coffins all the way back from the Pacific. And that drove home to me just the awfulness of war. Each of those coffins was a young man that had visions and dreams and hopes for the future. That was cut short uh, by the war. And so, I have a lot of bittersweet memories from that time. I do not know of anyone that served in combat in the Vietnam War that was not changed in some way.
I'm certainly sure that. Did you have? I'm certainly sure that you had people in your regiment that lost their life during that time. I'm sure, didn't you?
No, because basically what I did was flew on an Intel platform, and the U.S. government guarded that platform like it was absolute gold, and so we would fly into the combat zone. Monitor what we had to monitor coming out of Vietnam and China, and then back again. So I was very fortunate. Um, I've had so many friends that were tunnel rats and other jobs at the front line that were infinitely more dangerous than what I did,
Okay.
and so probably comparatively, I had it much better than several of those guys.
Right. I do want to ask you a question tonight, because this is the holiday, Veterans Day. We honor the folks that are living. Today, we honored the fallen, the ones that have died. What do you think that the veterans that have given their life, James, with their blood over the course of, again, going back to the Revolutionary War, even going back to the time that we shed blood to found this country, we shed blood to defend um, against the British in 1812. People don't realize the British invaded us again, burned the White House down, and we held them off for a second time in the early 1800s. And then the country turned against God, got away from God. We started fighting a civil war, and really it was a righteous cause, I believe, when Lincoln tried to free the slaves. And then we entered into the World War I, World War II. We had uh, the Korean conflict, actually before the Vietnam conflict, and then you had the wars of the more modern times with Iraq, the Gulf War of 91, 9/11 with Afghanistan, Iraq with 2003, and then we had a time of relative peace. We thought we had the wars with ISIS and the terrorist wars, and then we entered into this conflict with Iran now. But as you look back on history, and you're a historian, what do you think the people that, if they could come back tonight and speak to us, what would they say to this generation that's throwing this freedom away that they've paid for by blood? Because James, I see that that's what we're doing tonight. I feel that the sacrifices that were made are being wasted, and it's almost insulting to the people that did give their life for this country, because we're given the very rights away that they fought for. We're giving them back to tyrannical fascists, and we're giving them back to people that want to see America go down and be ruled by Islam and be ruled by Sharia law, not our Constitution, and not be a nation ruled by God instead of man.
Yeah, I'm sort of at times I feel like an old fogey. I can't believe how this country has changed, and simple notions of patriotism and what used to be the ultimate virtues are now, lampooned and ridiculed in the press. But I was born in a special time. We were baby boomers, right?
Yeah.
And so our memories were, my dad was a World War II veteran, and in truth, as a historian, the only really popular war that this country has ever fought was World War II, because of the circumstances of the U.S. entry into the war and the sneak attack on Pearl Harbor and the obvious good versus evil, and so there's that factor, but we have such a difficulty in our country these days determining what is truth and what is integrity and what is of value and what is worth sacrificing. And to me, that's the most tragic loss. We have, we have kids that have no notion of what it means to sacrifice and just how special living in this country is. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wax philosophic on you here, but this country has changed from the time I was a kid. I was a young man when I went to enlist in the Air Force, and so immature during those years. And Vietnam just was one of those turning point events in my life that I can't imagine it going any other way. But your point is well taken. I think if you could, all of those crosses that are in Arlington, and I have
Yes.
visited all of the graveyards in Europe and in Asia. If somehow we could come up with a way that we could pull them back from the grave and speak to this generation, I think they would be amazed that there's no more of a sense of loyalty to this country than we're seeing.
I know. Do you think that if we were to if this generation lived back in the World War II time, and that generation I think has been called the greatest generation ever, do you think that we would have had the courage and the fortitude to see it through with the Nazis back in World War II? And it's part of what happened in Vietnam, James. Again, not to continue to go back to Vietnam, but I look at the two conflicts, and the nation's heart wasn't in it. I don't think the nation's heart was in Iraq, even though we were fighting a ruthless dictator. And I know we can argue the validity of Iraq and the weapons of mass destruction, and people still do to this day. But it seems like when we enter into these conflicts, um, freedom has been at stake, and it's just hard to get people to understand that it's. I don't think America's been perfect by any means in our history, but I will tell you this: had it not been for America, the world would have all long ago succumbed to communism. It would have long ago succumbed to fascism. It would have long ago succumbed to the tyranny that we see running the earth tonight and what's going on in Iran. And I want to get your take on that because I brought you on to talk about Iran tonight. There's been developments on that on major fronts. But one final thing about this, and then we'll move on. This Memorial Day, is it something we need to come to grips with, that even though America may not be perfect, we've been the only bastion that in the power, then God's given us this power to be, and I know people hate to use the word policeman, and I don't believe we need to be the world's policeman, but sometimes you've got to be. Sometimes America's got to step in and do things other nations won't, because these European nations have gone completely woke. And if the world is going to sit by and let fascism take it over, there's got to be an adult in the room, and I believe the adult has been America. And whether people like it or not, and that's why we get all these war protests, and we get all these punk kids that, don't, as you said, couldn't even tell you where Iran is on a map, couldn't tell you where Europe's on a map. Jesse Waters' boy tonight was in spring break asking these kids, "Do you know who the Ayatollah is?" And they thought it was a drink. They thought it was an alcoholic beverage. They thought it was funny. And he was trying to explain to them what we were doing in Iran. They didn't even have a clue where Iran was. They didn't know what that was about. That scares me, my friend, because if we enter into a serious conflict, who knows what this generation will do? We'll just lay down and think it's a joke, because that's what we're turning our country into.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. I am so concerned for world we are leaving my grandkids,
Right.
That's one, but the optimist in me would point out from history another example. In Great Britain, prior to World War II, there was a tremendous surge of leftist activity among students in British colleges and universities, and peace movements and this, that, and the other. Those very young men would be the heroes during the Battle of Britain that would fly in the RAF against German bombers and the V2s, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that came over across the channel, so that when duty called, they rose to the challenge. And I would like to think that if there was a clear, definite threat to this country, that our young people would respond in the same way. I'm not sure anymore.
Well, I put it like this.
That would take place.
I'll put it like this. It's wishful thinking. And I know that you're right. And look, I would hope that they would too, James. But look, I don't see anything right now that would indicate that this generation understands the cost that you paid. And we've got people in the chat tonight with people that have served in Nam and other wars. And this generation, we're getting a little older, and we've got very few World War II veterans left. We've got very few Korean, and listen, the Vietnam vets are dying out on us. But the scars of these battles that has been left on America's soul, we blaspheme the memory of the dead by the attitude of this generation, and it includes many adults. It's not just the kids. It's this left, woke, unbelievably ungodly lawlessness that we're allowing to run roughshod over this nation tonight. And again, to allow the forces of fascism on this earth run unchecked. Now, I want to shift gears on you. We'll get off of that. Tonight, America, the U.S. struck Iran about 3 or 4 hours ago. It was they took out some bases because Iran was firing on us in spite of everything that Trump's tried to do this weekend. I really, I called you or texted you Saturday night. I thought we were going to go on because I thought we were about to have a all-out war because everybody was predicting that America was about to strike Iran. And then lo and behold, last night, Trump was tweeting that they were within 95% of an agreement of peace with Iran. And this thing has been up and down all over the place over the last 48 hours. And then this morning, he upped the ante even more. He called on these Arab nations that he's wanting to get behind him with to get this agreement over the finish line with Iran, to put pressure on Iran. He's basically saying to them, we've done the hard work, but if you're going to enter into this with us, you're going to have to recognize Israel. And he's talking to Turkey, he's talking to Egypt, he's talking to Jordan, he's talking to Saudi Arabia, he's talking to the UAE. There's a report out of the Jerusalem Post tonight that Israel has declared war on Hezbollah. Trump has given Bibi Netanyahu the green light, that they are at war again with Hezbollah, and the gloves are off, and Bibi says we're not going to play around. Since we've been given the green light by America, we're going to clean house, and they will do it. And the folks in Lebanon need to be finding shelter tonight because all hell's about to break loose. And as Wyatt Earp once famously said in that movie, tell them I'm coming and hell's coming with us. Well, I'm going to tell you something. The IDF is coming. These terrorists have been firing rockets in spite of all these peace talks in northern Israel over the last few weeks. And James, if you don't stop this terrorism, if you live by the sword, brother, you're going to die by the sword. And these Iranians don't get it. These terrorist groups don't get it. Hamas don't get it. And even the world doesn't get it because they blame Israel and the U.S. for this stuff. We're not the ones shooting rockets. And it's time to if Iran's not going to come to the table, I believe that all we're doing is giving them time to finagle their way out of this agreement because they're holding out for Trump to get defeated in the midterms in the fall. I believe that's what they're trying to hold out for. Now, I've said a lot there. I want you to sort of chime in on this because I do believe that Trump may very well have held out the attacks in hope of this agreement. Whether it's pie in the sky or not remains to be seen. I don't have a lot of faith in peace treaties in the Middle East. I just don't. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my thoughts are pretty much the same, Chris. They take the Israelis and Hezbollah, since the quote unquote ceasefire between them. Hezbollah has fired over 1,000 rockets at Israel, and it is like the world expects Israel to just take all of these assaults one after another and put up with it, and it's completely one sided.
Always.
In terms of the PR, the treatment of Israel. In terms of what Trump's going to do in Iran, and I noticed that the Central Command was very careful to couch these attacks as defensive attacks that they were responding to the Iranians, particularly the small boats and the craft that were laying mines in the straits.
Yes.
And so if you listen to the verbiage of the Central Command, they're trying to preserve sort of the fiction of the ceasefire. And so they're couching these attacks as defensive in nature.
That's what they said tonight. That's the word they used tonight, defensive in nature. I didn't see a lot of defensive in nature. There's a smoldering pile of ash over in Iran tonight in that city near the Gulf. I mean, there wasn't nothing defensive about that. We just blew their base out of the water that was shooting those missiles at us.
Yes. So they went after the missile sites. I continue to believe, and I voiced this on your program a couple times ago. You have this week. You have 3 million, probably a conservative estimate, of people that are going to come into Saudi Arabia on the Muslim most holy holiday, the pilgrimage days.
Hajj, yeah.
And so that is a constraining factor in terms of what Trump can do, because he still wants support among the so-called allies in the Middle East. Who needs friends like that, right? But it may be a different situation altogether next week, and so we'll stay tuned on that one. There's a reason the Central Command is talking about these measures being defensive in nature, because they still want to preserve the hope of the ceasefire. Trump definitely keeps them guessing. I mean, people in his own party can't figure out, what's going to happen next. And so it is just, as we have alluded to on numerous occasions, the Middle East is a completely, in terms of policy, American foreign policy, the objectives we try to pursue, the Middle East is a completely different animal altogether. And that's because of the spiritual dynamics involved in it.
And that's exactly right. Now, I want to ask you a question, and this is an opinion question. Neither you nor I know the answer to this. I've got a feeling on this, but I want to get yours. Do you really, truly believe that these Arab countries are going to do nothing but just give lip service to Israel and actually seek peace? Because even the Saudis tonight, the young prince, he's open to that because he signed on to these Abraham Accords already. But the daddy, the daddy prince is not so willing to let down Saudi Arabia's arm to Israel, at least not yet. I sure don't see Turkey doing it. I would say Egypt and Israel has had normal relations since 79, somewhat. Jordan has been at a peaceful posture with her since 94. But James, I will tell you this: I don't trust these. I'm sorry, I just don't trust these Arabs. I don't trust any of them, and I don't want to get into the biblical. I'm going to talk about the biblical angle Wednesday night a little bit on our face show. But I will tell you this: this is a dress rehearsal of what's coming. And when you say peace and safety, there is ample reason to believe that any peace deal, any treaty, is only going to be short lived at the best. And we don't know what would happen if Trump leaves office, which he will in 28. And what if we get a liberal president and he just tears all this up, tears the paper up? It won't be worth the paper it's written on. And I don't think it's going to be worth the paper it's written on tonight. And I'm not saying that Trump shouldn't try. At least he's trying. But he's not, as you just said a while ago beautifully, you're not dealing with fair brokers here. And you're not dealing with the dynamic of Russia, Ukraine, or any of these other nations that he's got to stop killing each other. We're talking about the Middle East, brother. These Arabs have been killing each other for 6,000 years, 4,000 years almost.
Yeah. No, the only thing they can agree on is that they hate Israel.
They hate Israel, exactly.
And if you would somehow remove Israel from the dynamic, they would start shooting each other the next day. And so it's interesting. It makes for an interesting dynamic. Should we trust Iran in terms of an agreement of any sort? There is nothing in Muhammad's past or the Quran, in fact, that they have a completely different perspective on truth than we do. There's, when they reach an agreement, it is by its very nature tentative and can be conditional on the sole purpose is to convert the world to Islam, right? So if they have to make a temporary agreement, it's not like in our world where you make a vow, you sign an agreement. There's a common standard of truth between legal systems that recognize Christianity and that sort of version of truth. You're not dealing with that here. And so any agreement by its very nature with a Muslim country, they view it through a completely different set of lenses than we do. And we have never really, I would submit, understood that in dealing with these countries in the Middle East.
I'll agree. I totally agree with that. Do you think that there is a chance that Iran in a million years will give up this nuke program? Because that's at the heart of this. President Trump and Bibi both have come out tonight and said they are not going to get a nuclear weapon. And like you said, we don't know if we can trust them or not. But do you really think that they're this is my opinion, and we'll move on to something else after this. I think they're holding out time because they think one of two things are going to happen. Trump is going to die in office, God forbid. They're thinking we got 2 years to wait this out, give Trump what he wants, again, give him lip service, but don't sign any agreement. Or they hope that perhaps the midterms go bad and that his power will be stripped of him basically by the Dems, and it will be. And that he's lamed up for 2 years and they can just thumb their nose at him and they know they got friends and allies in Congress and they go back to doing what they're doing. I do not see them operating fairly with this. I just don't. And I'm trying to be optimistic because I don't want our audience to think tonight that I'm downing President Trump for trying. I'm actually, this is why we voted for him, James. We voted for this very thing. And we voted that he keep us out of wars. And people are saying, well, he's not keeping us out of a war. Yeah, he is. He's stopping a war that was began 47 years ago. He's trying to remove a cancer that has been the source of probably bloodshed to the scores of millions of people over the last 47 years. There is no telling how many people have been murdered and slaughtered at the hands of Iranian puppets and Iranian satellite groups, including Hamas, including the Houthis, including Hezbollah. That's now going to be at war with Israel after tonight. They're going tonight into southern Lebanon to clean it out.
Well, yeah, no, all I can do is cheer you on. We're looking for an answer to a problem in this country. We just the way we're constructed is we win a victory and go away, and eventually we'll probably have to bankroll the very people that we've vanquished, and that's the way we choose to fight wars.
Great point.
In our culture, they view it through a completely different set of lenses. 2 years for them to hang on. It's about for the mullahs and for the elites, the Shia elites that are ruling Iran. It is purely and simply about preserving their hold on that society. And the ultimate bargaining chip, the ultimate equalizer, the thing that can get them to what their religious belief portrays as necessary in the final days are those nuclear weapons, and they're not going to give them up, short of looking down the barrel of absolutes and into their regime and into their hold on power, and with everything just collapsing around their ears, and they think they have. I'm going to use a Kentucky saying here. They think they have Trump by the short hairs here.
Yeah.
Because of his domestic political situation. The same with Bibi in Israel. I mean, he's hanging on by his fingernails to power. And so, to them, it makes sense to stretch this thing out, give the illusion that they're going to come to the peace table, but they're not going to be honest and fair players because it's not in their interest. The day they give up that bargaining chip of a nuclear program is the day that they're looking at a mirror and seeing an end to their way of life, and more importantly, their control.
Yeah. Well said. I want to wrap up our talk tonight about something. I saw a great special tonight, Sean Hannity, and I like Hannity. I'm not in love with him. I watch his program. He's very conservative. I think sometimes it's blather more than he tries to be a little melodramatic about this thing that we're in, this conflict. And look, I don't think we need, Sean, but he did do an excellent show about the radicalization of our young people. James, we had a fifth attempt, 5, on the president's life Saturday night. These 2 crazed gunmen started shooting at the White House. One of them was basically eliminated. The other one was not. This one guy that was eliminated thought he was Jesus Christ, literally. He was walking around telling people it was Jesus, and with guns. And if you count Ivanka, and we find it out because Friday night when we talked to you, the IRGC had targeted her. And you go back to Butler, you go back to the Florida golf course incident, you go back to the White House press briefing or the press ball that they had. And we literally have had 5 attempts since July of 24, my friend. There is no president. I have looked. There is no president in the history of this republic that has been shot at, and every single one of those killers were radically changed young men. And they were. I look at the Butler shooter. By all indications, his family did not raise him to be radical. Thomas, the Charlie Kirk killer, Robinson, was not raised this way. He was in a Christian home. He was radicalized. This killer that thinks he's Jesus Christ. Again, you look at the picture, probably in his 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, perhaps. You look at the crazy. The only oldest person that was charged with something was the nut down in Florida that was hanging out with the bushes with the long rifle pointing at Trump through the bushes. He was an older man. But look at the young black man that did the thing at the White House press ball. He was in his 20s. And Sean was pointing out tonight that we've got an epidemic of this. And my question to you is, do you think, and I think I know what you're going to say, do you think that we're sitting here tonight on a powder keg, that we've got others that are sitting in front of TVs tonight, watching Twitter, watching video games, listening to television, listening to the rhetoric on the left, listening to the rhetoric of the Dems? I know the Republicans are not perfect. I know we say some things sometimes on the right that we could word a little bit better. But I'm going to tell you something. We don't call for the killing of our political enemies like the left does. They've done it. They've opened this Pandora's box. And now you've got an army of kids, James, that they think that killing the president's cool. They think killing CEOs is cool. And this comes tonight on the 6-year anniversary of Minnesota being burned to the ground because of a punk criminal that I do not believe was wrongly handled by that police officer in Minnesota. We got a problem in our nation. And this radicalization is going to be the death of us. And I'm going to tell you something. I do not believe that what happened Saturday night's the end of it. I think that we're going to see more and more of this, and it's going to be more intense. Now, I've said a lot there again. I've given you a lot to opine on, as we say. What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I just think that what we're seeing is just an indicator of a mood and a spirit that's going on in this country that's and where is the outcry in the mainstream media and on the left? Could you imagine that? Let's say while Obama was in office, if there would have been 5 attempts on his life, just what would have been said in the mainstream press?
James, they would have declared martial law. I'll just quickly interrupt you there. They would have declared martial law and hunted down every conservative in the world, and basically went after every mega person in the world and put them in jail on suspicion that we were behind it. But go ahead. I digress. Go ahead. Keep going.
But it is just sort of this two-tiered system of justice that we're looking at in this country, where the rules apply differently according to which political ideology you ascribe to, and it should not be that way. And yeah, Trump is a marked man. Every president is, in a sense, but I'm with you. I have never in my lifetime, seen the vitriol and the animosity that has been directed towards this president.
Yeah, but
and again, it's symptomatic of what we're seeing in in this culture. There's just been a breakdown of decorum. There's, we have become so politicized that opponents are treated uh, as mortal enemies rather than us sort of trying to find a middle ground anymore. It is just absolutely crazy what's going on.
Well, and let me just say this. I know that this audience, I've been around this audience for 8 years now, and I know what kind of audience we've got, and we've never allowed it anyway, and we wouldn't allow it. But I don't know of anybody that has called for the extermination of a Democrat. I know that the Democrats get on our every last nerve, and I know they say some of the most hideous, evil, wicked stuff. But Christians don't go out calling for their death. We don't go out calling for them to be eliminated. We don't call on them to have bullets put in their heads. I want to see justice done. If they're breaking the law and they're breaking people's constitutional rights, that's against the law. Hold them accountable. But I want the justice system to be fair, and I want it to be equitable, and I want it to be exactly the same for the left that it is the right, and it's not right now. You mentioned the two-tier justice system. That's what infuriates us. But we don't call for the killing of those that oppose us, James. We pray for them. That's the difference in the Christians and the heathens. That's the dividing line between people with common sense and people that have gone slap-dap crazy, as we say in the South. I mean, they have lost their mental rockers. And I hear some of this rhetoric. And again, I'm not saying that the right is perfect, but I'm going to tell you something. This both sides argument is a bunch of crap. It's not coming from the right to kill Trump. It's not coming from the right to kill anybody. It's coming from the left. It's coming from Dems. And I'll just put my weight on that tonight. And if they don't stop it, it's something bad's going to happen, buddy. Something bad's coming.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. This whole, and I've addressed that before on this program. This whole artificial moral equivalency arguments, that the left seems to fall on more and more these days. You have a massacre that takes place in Israel, and somehow you've got to come up with another side to the argument, give other people, well, no, it was an act of pure evil, but we can't say that anymore. In this culture, we just cannot call evil because we don't believe in evil anymore.
No, go ahead, keep going.
For the most part, and I'm sorry about getting up on this soapbox, but
no, you go right ahead.
That's because the religious, spiritual standards, biblical standards, are no longer, by and large, respected by anyone. And that's what makes our situation today very much different than it has been in the past. There was a commonality of understanding of basic rules of behavior, of decorum. And all of those things have broken down in the last 10 to 15 years. They've deteriorated, and that deterioration is happening at such an accelerated pace that, sort of like old fogies like me look at it and absolutely cannot understand what's going on. It's like the majority, or 50%, let's call it what it is. It's the country split right down the middle, and half of the country seems like they've completely lost their senses. So
yeah. I saw somebody post that the Democrat Party is power hungry. It's more than being power hungry. The Democrat Party is a bunch of demons. They're demon-infested people that want to see the government of the United States taken down. And they may be power hungry, but they're evil and they're wicked. And they're driving up this rhetoric, James, that's getting in the heads of these kids. These kids are listening. And they're going out. And again, you look at the killers. One of them is dead. The Biden administration made sure we didn't get his answers, and I believe to this night that kid didn't act alone. We may never know who he acted with in Butler. In fact, we probably won't know unless there's some kind of break. But the ones that are alive, if you look at their ages, they're young. They're 20-year-olds that have been not raised in this manner, but they have been radicalized by this speak and this evil speak and this demonic idea that it's okay to kill people. This Mangio Luciani or whatever his name is, sitting in prison for killing the head of the United Healthcare. You got people with sympathy out there for him tonight, not the Brian Thompson, the guy that died with United Healthcare, not with his family. No, the sympathy is with the killers. The sympathy is with Thompson. The sympathy is with the black gentleman that tried to shoot up the ballroom or the press conference. The sympathy on the left tonight is that, well, we get a guy, we got to make sure that we don't trample on the rights. You have the governor of New Jersey tonight. You have the governor of New Jersey trying to bust down the gate at the Newark, New Jersey ICE facility tonight like a bunch of rebellious teenagers. You're not talking about a 21-year-old. You got the governor of Jersey doing that. These kids see that. Oh, that's cool. Governor Cheryl's doing it. I guess I can too. No, you can't. You do that, you need to have your carcass put in jail and charged and not come out in 50 years. And I'm a little wired up about this because, see, I see it, James. I see it. And again, it's not a two-sided affair like they're claiming. It's one side that's doing it. One side that's doing it.
Yeah. I agree. I'm yeah, you're preaching to the choir here.
Oh, I know I'm preaching to the choir tonight, but I'll tell you this. I tell you what, the choir's saying amen. The choir needs to say amen. Because right. I tell you what, the choir better understand this. We may be preaching to the choir, but this affects the choir. This affects every single one of us in this audience tonight. This affects the whole country. Because we got a president that it's open season on him tonight. It's open season on his cabinet. It's open season on his family. It's open season on conservatives. If they're going to kill him, James, what makes people believe that they're not coming after us next? If they think they can take a shot at the president, you see it. I see it all the time on videos. People see a MAGA hat on somebody. They see a MAGA t-shirt on somebody. They see a MAGA sweatshirt. What do? Get in their face and start cussing them. That young lady that got her face punched up in Minneapolis for just reporting on that fraud. This couple goes out there. They act like they're the victim. And they can't believe that people were posting the video of them. And we couldn't even go back to our house because people were saying all sorts of bad things about us. Well, of course they're saying bad things about it. You're nothing but a bunch of political punk thugs that was slapping around and hitting a girl in the face. What do you expect? It does affect the choir. And that's why I get a little animated, and I don't mind screaming at the choir tonight and telling the choir, we better understand what's going on around us. These kids are being radicalized. They're not just being radicalized about Trump. They're being radicalized about you and me tonight. And I'll let you wrap us up on that. See, you got your popcorn-worthy soapbox tonight, Akers.
Yeah, what we are seeing is a trend line. Planting a seed in our educational institutions, in our church institutions, of a subtle anti-authoritarian spirit that is starting to bear fruit, and you at the same time. There is no respect for life because life is Jesus Christ. There's no true respect for life, whether you're talking about the abortion issue or whether you're talking about the video games these kids are playing where you can kill somebody and it really doesn't mean anything. It's just a decision made at a distance. And you have sanitized violence on TV. where somebody can be shot 15 times and they come back the next scene when a real bullet tears a person's flesh apart, and it takes months and months and months to heal. It is just we are bearing the fruit of all of that, and at the end of the day, even though right now it is about political sides, uh, what it's really, the target really is Jesus Christ and people that believe in Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And that, at the end of the day, all of this is working to undermine uh, uh, a faith that is absolutely necessary for individuals to get to in terms of personal accountability for the way they act and for the way they believe. And all of that is being undermined, steadily eroded, just step by step by step. And now both the participants of either side view it through a political lens, and we're getting wrapped around these political axles. But the true cost is coming in a decade or so, I think, and it's a spiritual battle. That one side of that battle that should be equipped to take a stand are becoming so passive that they're not going to be able to take a stand on anything, and that's where this thing is heading. So that's my
Totally
soapbox.
agree. No, it's good. Good. I do want to. We'll talk about with you more this week, and I'll see you Friday night. But I will tell you this: I believe that this radicalization of these teens is probably more dangerous than the Iran war. I think that this is something that is within. We can see the enemy in Iran pretty clearly what they want to do, but I don't think we're understanding that this enemy of these kids is within our gates. This is within our borders and within our nation, my friend. And I think we better come to grips with this quick. And I think President Trump's doing everything he can, but he can't get too much done because he's always dodging bullets and having to get in bunkers and have the Secret Service on top of him because somebody's trying to kill him. And, that's it. Hey, good stuff tonight. I got to let you go. I'll see you later the week, and I may get you back on if we have World War III breakout or something. So, as we tell you all the time, hang loose, Acres. We'll get you back on soon. That's for sure, man.
Well, I'll be with the phone close to me. Looking forward, by the way, to catching a ball game with you. We'll have plenty of time to solve all the problems of the
Yes.
universe between innings.
I have not had a day off in a while, and we're going to take it. We're taking a night off Friday night because I have been working hard this weekend and worked hard today, and I deserve one night of at least a break. And it's good to have a break with you, my friend. Looking forward to fellowshipping with you. And I'll see you this week. Okay, God bless, friend.
God bless.
Have a good night. James Akers, everybody. Put some fire in that house for him. I want to show you exactly the kind of stuff that the left does. And this is Sebastian Gorka tonight, and I'm just going to put this up, and this illustrates my point. We know that this Iranian war, there were some people that got killed in that first little conflict. A lot of it was a couple of crashes. One of it was a mid-air crash. But the Democrat National Convention today, they took this time on Memorial Day not to memorialize the fallen of all the wars, but they sit there and dox the American heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice in, quote, Trump's war with Iran. In Trump's war with Iran. That's wickedness, folks. That's wickedness right there. They didn't mention any other war. They didn't mention the Vietnam War. They didn't mention the Civil War. By the way, the Civil War was a Democrat thing, not a Republican thing. Lincoln was trying to free the South from slavery that the Democrats were all about. And so when you see stuff like this, All this does is fuel the fire. They call it, their wording is, this, nothing is done by mistake. When they say Trump's war, it gets it in people's heads that everything that's going on as a result of this war is Trump's fault. And they're not dumb. But they disrespected the memory of these veterans, and they disrespected the memory of the fallen by doing it. They slurred and they slandered. That's all the left does, and that's all people that are of the devil can do. That's all they do is slur and slander. All righty. President Trump, I've got a funny one. We need to laugh probably tonight a little bit. But this is some, I think that Trump may have done this. This is off his real Donald Trump account, or I'm not sure if it's parody or not, but it sure is funny. There's a bad word in there I should have blocked out. But if Iran doesn't stop this war in 24 hours, hang on just a second. Let me get this off for the kids down at the bottom. If Iran doesn't stop this war in 24 hours, I'm going to send Hillary, our best hitman. 100% accuracy, has never failed a mission. That was from the time before the Ayatollah Khomeini was taken out. Hillary's picture had sent the Ayatollah a friend request. And if worse comes to worse, we'll send Hillary over there and take care of business. That was a joke for those that get it. This is the oil refinery tonight that we hit. That don't look like a defensive strike. That's in Iran tonight. That's near the Gulf. And you can see it right there. That is the result of an American airstrike, and you can see that right there. They got music. I don't know why they're putting music to it. There's no need to dramatize it. It's just a strike. Now, we'll say this. The Americans tonight are saying that the strikes are done with. It's over. They say that it's over, and they do not believe this is going to cause the ceasefire to be shattered. James pointed out tonight that that is why they did this, hoping to keep the ceasefire in place. But I don't think none of us are befoozled or naive enough to believe that this ceasefire is going to stick for a long time. It may stick for a season. We may even get Iran to the table to agree to our terms. I just don't believe that they are. I just don't think it's in their DNA to do it. I don't think they're going to give up this nuclear ambition. There's a fog. There's a spiritual fog over this nation. This Islamic spirit, this jihadi spirit, this Muslim, this attitude, this whole ideology is based upon the destruction of Israel, mainly, and then the destruction of the United States. It's really the destruction of any religion, any movement, any ideology that does not bow its knee to Islam. Islam means submission. And if whatever is out there doesn't bow its knee to it, the sword comes out. There is no peace branch with Islam. And that is that. Let's see here. Let me see here. Let's see what we got going on here. It's good to see everybody tonight. I do not believe that the Dems are confused. I do not believe these people are confused. The individual that posted that. No, it's not about confusion. No, these people know exactly what they're doing. Don't ever confuse. I hear this all the time that these people are just crazy. I heard that all the time about Joe Biden. I heard that all the time about Obama. I heard that all the time about all these leaders. Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, Susan Rice, all these people that are on the left when they run their mouth. Hillary, I hear that all the time. The Clintons are just crazy. And I saw the craziest thing. Let me tell you something, folks. These people ain't crazy. No, they are very. AOC is not crazy. We're gonna go to our grave in peril, believing that they're crazy. We think Elizabeth Warren's crazy. No, she's not. She knows exactly what she's saying. We think, crazy Bernie Sanders is crazy. No, he's not. He's not confused. Bernie is not confused about what he believes. No, he's very well versed about what he believes. He articulates his evil much better than we articulate the truth. And you get a program like this where you got a Southerner that don't care what people think, And I just say it like it is. And maybe I do get a little wired up and a little fired up, but at least I get fired up about something that matters. At least I get fired up and say it, because people are just quiet and they're silent about it and they're scared to say it. Well, we're not. We're not. You just reach my age, you don't really, I'm not auditioning. I'm not auditioning for political office. I'm not auditioning for anything. But I'm going to tell you something. As long as we got this platform and as long as we got these lights and as long as I got this microphone, we're going to scream it every night. No, these people ain't crazy. So don't get this idea that they're confused. They're not confused. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly what they're trying to do to the country. They know exactly the calculations they're making, that they believe that the country in general believe what they believe. They're deceived. They're deceived. And they're demonically possessed. And there may be a little cray-cray in them, but that cray-cray is coming from a source. And it ain't heaven. It's not heaven. But don't ever think that they're crazy and confused. No, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. If you got any questions tonight, any questions, put them in the house. I got a couple of videos I want to show you. We're going to have a great show tomorrow night. Lori Mills may be with us. I'm praying that she will be tomorrow night. Her husband is having surgery, gets his MRI back, so please remember him in your prayers. This is President Trump today and Vice President J.D. Vance. They were at the Arlington Cemetery, and there you see him right there. He sent this out today. Happy Memorial Day to all, including the Democrats who disrespect our military. They disrespected their military, the military, by doing what they did today. They did. And all of the tremendous success that it has had over the last year. God bless those that have made the ultimate sacrifice. I love you all. President Donald John Trump. You see, I never saw Joe Biden and Harris with their hands saluting the dead. No, all they did was go down there and get a photo op. That's all Obama did. Obama sometimes didn't even go down there on Memorial Day. I mean, I remember a video, and y'all may remember it, that Michelle Obama, it was either Flag Day one year or maybe in July 4th, and she muttered, she leaned into Obama, Barack, and said all this about a something flag and talking about people saluting and doing this. There was a congresswoman out in California last night. I think it was either Congress or a sitting member of a city council in a major city in California. They pledged allegiance to the flag, and she turned her back on the flag. She would not pledge allegiance to the flag. And folks, the way I look at it, I'm going to just say it like this on this Memorial Day. We blaspheme and spit in the face of the sacrifices of every single individual that's ever died for this country to protect it from the very thing that these Democrats are doing. I believe George Washington, if he was back here tonight, he would scream at us and says, we fought a revolutionary war to keep this country free of terrorism, only for you to give it back to terrorists in the form of a political party called the Dems. And when we don't vote, and we don't get out, and we don't vote in our elections, and we put city council members on like this crazy lady in California that won't put her hand on her heart and pledge allegiance. If they're not going to pledge allegiance to the flag and pledge allegiance to the country, they don't need to be running the country and making decisions for the country. If they don't want to put their hand on that Bible, if they don't want to swear allegiance to God and swear allegiance to America, I'm sorry. Go back to your blank hole country and you pledge allegiance to your God, but you go do it in your own country. You don't bring it here. This is a Christian country. This is in God we trust here. You're in God we trust territory here. You're welcome to worship your false gods all you want to. You're welcome. This is a free country. You can worship and do whatever you want to do. But when you start subverting our government and you start subverting the faith and you start persecuting Christians and you start trying to push out the religion, the religion that we were founded on, you're no longer being here. Your First Amendment rights, you're all of a sudden going beyond just having the right to do that. Freedom of religion is you get to worship who you want to, but you don't get to push the Christians, and you don't get to put Christian faith out of the corner and out of the way, because this country started on Christianity. And they're using our laws, and they're using our Bill of Rights, and they're using everything that we have paid for with blood to take this nation down. And I'm going to say something else. The mistake that we've made, the biggest mistake we've made over the last 10 years, is that we've allowed naturalized citizens, people that have not been born in this country. You know, you cannot be president of the United States unless you're born here in this nation. You got to be born in America to be president. But you don't have to be born to be a senator or a representative. And it's my humble opinion that when you get down to it, the senator and the representative are in many ways more important than the president, because they make the laws, and they determine the courts, and they determine a lot of things that even the president doesn't have the power to do. He can only nominate the courts, that the justices that go on these courts. It's got to go through the Senate. It's got to go through the House. The president just can't get up and write a check tomorrow and say, I'm going to spend money over here for this and spend money. He's got to go through Congress to do that. He's got to go through the House to do that. All appropriation bills start in the House. So you got people in the House and you got people in the Senate tonight that are not even American born, making decisions for Americans. You got a problem. You got a problem. And we need to pass a law. If we could get some spineless or spineful Republicans instead of the spineless bunch we've got up there. John Thune needs to be primaried. He needs to be voted out right now. I cannot believe that there are not 5 Republican senators and GOP senators that have had enough and seen what he's doing to know that he is not an American first person. He's not even an American 30th person right now. He is upset with Trump. And by the way, Texans, go out there to those polls tomorrow and put Ken Paxton in the office of Senate. Send this rhino corn packing tomorrow at the polls. That's where we do it. You Georgians, don't listen to these rhinos. Put Jones in this runoff. Dooley is nothing, and I loved his dad at Georgia, but Dooley is an absolute loser. He is a loser. He's out there pushing amnesty. And if Georgia goes down in the Senate, like if we win Georgia in 26, this upcoming midterm, I'm going to tell you this, we're going to keep that Senate. Georgia's the key. Ossoff is nothing but a liberal hack. And Brian Kemp and Ratzenberger both need to be in federal prison tonight, the governor and the secretary of state, because they're protecting this Democratic machine. They're protecting it. You South Carolinians, you've got a chance to do something right by this redistricting. Get it done. Get it done. When we act like the way we're acting in this country, in our political realm, we slur and we slander and we spit on the graves of these people that shed their blood to keep this country free of tyranny and to keep this country free of corruption and keep this country with a lawful border around it, that we do not allow those that are not supposed to be here into this country and claim that it's humanity. It's not humanitarian. No, it's lawlessness. It's lawlessness. Now, it's getting after midnight now, and when Chris gets after midnight, Chris starts getting really, really wired up, because usually the kids have gone to bed by then, and we are adults here. And I'm going to let go of the show tonight because I don't want to get myself in too much trouble, because I want to come back and get myself in more trouble tomorrow night. But this is Memorial Day. And we had a very special program today. We hope you watched it. It was about an hour long. And we did nothing but play music and show some videos thanking our veterans that have paid the ultimate cost and their families for that cost and for that service tonight. And I go out telling you this tonight. These corrupt politicians, these corrupt rhinos, these corrupt people that have no godliness, have no sense of it, don't even care about it. They don't care about America. They don't care about you. You are not, they're pimping every one of these. I'm going to use a very bad word here so you can hold your ears. But we have got nothing but a bunch of political whores up in D.C. tonight. That's exactly what they are. They open their legs for the highest bidder, and maybe I shouldn't say it like that, but they sell you, the American people, out to the highest lobbyists. They sell you out, and they sell me out to the bidding of the altar of whatever money comes their way. These podcasters, these influencers, all they do is they say one thing with their mouth, but in their heart, they have nothing but disgust for this country. They have nothing but disgust for God. They have nothing but disgust for Christianity. They have nothing but disgust for President Trump. And you see, you can't hide that forever. It eventually comes out. It eventually comes out. And the money is the pimp dollar. It's what is pimped out. And pardon me for the analogy that offended some of you. I'm sure it did. But maybe it needs to offend us. Maybe it needs to offend us tonight, neighbor, that we'll get to these polls and vote. And we'll get these people out. And stop putting people up for election. And stop sending these people back to D.C. that want to destroy this country and basically trample on foot the blood of them that have been shed for the freedom and the liberty of this nation. I'll amen myself. I don't have to get an amen tonight. I'll amen myself. I'll leave it at that. I'll amen itself. Myself. All right. Good deal. Good to see John Quallam in the house tonight. John, it's only about 9 o'clock out his way, so he can stay with me another 3 hours. And it is a mistake. It is a mistake when all these offices are not American born. I'm not a big fan of term limits because term limits, I tell you what would happen. If we had term limits, nobody would vote. Because we take for granted that if we put somebody in there, they're only going to be in there for 4 years. So we wouldn't care. And we get apathetic about it. When you don't have term limits, it puts the onus, guess who it puts the onus on? It puts it on the we the people. It puts it on we the people. It puts it on we the people to vote these people out. Folks, that's what the price of this great nation, that's what these people paid for with their blood. That's why we celebrate Memorial Day. That's why we remember them. I told the afternoon audience this afternoon that I went to Arlington back in 2019. I'd never been there, and I was moved to tears walking those grassy fields to see the number of graves that are out there with soldiers, the unknown soldier. All of these graves were men that had died in every war, going all the way back to 1812 and maybe even the Revolutionary War. That was the cemetery that they're buried in. There's another cemetery very similar to that in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where I visited and seen the graves of the Civil War victims. And both sides, both the North and the South, are buried in Gettysburg. You see, when it gets down to it, when we're defending freedom, the blood is all red. Doesn't matter what color skin you are, don't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican, the blood is still red. Doesn't matter whether you're from the North or the South, the blood is still red. And I believe that we need to come to grips with some things, and I think that in this 2026, folks, look, I don't know how long the Lord's got me on here. My voice will be here, in the videos. If the Lord took me out tomorrow, my voice will be an echo through these channels and through these shows that will be left on the air. But as far as I'm concerned, unless the Lord has something different planned, I plan to be here till I go out of here and get out of here whenever he comes, whether he comes for me in the clouds or I go see him from the grave. That's up to the Lord. But I have no intention whatsoever of stopping because it's too important. I've got a son. See that right there? See my shirt? I'm a proud Air Force dad as of 8:50 in the morning. I had the last meal with my dear KK tonight. And he leaves for the Air Force tomorrow. And we had one of the sweetest talks tonight in the car. And let me see if I can find a picture of him. I know I took a picture of us tonight. I'm so proud of this kid. I really am. And it was so precious of him tonight to come see his dad, and we had supper together. And him and Carla, we love them both. But he is leaving for the United States Air Force. There we are. It's ironic that we eat at McDonald's tonight. I laughed at him. I said, "Your last free meal." I said, "It's prophetic that we're eating your last meal before you don't have freedom for 6 weeks at McDonald's. Just remember that." I said, "Enjoy this hamburger tonight because you're not seeing no hamburgers when you go to boot camp." And he's going to be out in Lackland, Texas, near San Antonio, where my dear buddy Curtis Carmen's at. But he's really excited. I'm so proud of this kid. I'm proud of my son tonight, and I know he's not awake because he's got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And we did some father-son talking tonight, and my heart is excited. But Dad's dad, and I'm sad a little bit because I worry about him, and he knows that. I told him tonight. I said, "You're gonna have Caleb Jr. sitting over here one day, and you're gonna be the one driving him to his event in the military if he chooses to do that or wherever." And I said, "You'll understand how I feel tonight." I said, "I'm excited for you and I'm proud of you." But I said, I feel like I did when you first went to school. And I feel like I remember the day that his mother and I took him to college and he got in that dorm room. I cried like a baby for almost a day when we took him. And it was like a sort of a transition from high school to college. And it's just parents. It's just the parent heart in us. And we love our kids, and we hate to see them sometimes go far away from us like this. But pray for my son when you're praying, and pray for his safety. And his Uncle Todd was in the Air Force, and his grandfather was in the Navy. And I'm just grateful for their service tonight. And I'm proud of KK, and I'm proud to be an Air Force dad as of tonight. And I'm proud of my son, and I'm wishing him the best. And I pray God's richest blessings and his protection over him and Carla as they enter this next phase of their life. And may the Lord bless him. I love what my brother told me today. I sent a message to my brother, and I'll close on this because it's 12:20. I said, "Bro, I want you to wish you a happy Memorial Day. And you have to understand us McDonald boys. We like to say things that are funny and off the cuff and off color and off the cuff sometimes. We're just McDonald's. And some of you couldn't handle being around us because we'd probably offend 90% of you. But we just are who we are. We can laugh with each other. We've learned to laugh as a family. We just laugh at each other, and we don't take each other seriously." And he said, "Yeah, bro," he said, "it's a very happy Memorial Day because we're not commemorating me." And I started laughing. And I'm not making fun of the ones that have died. But I sent him a message back, and I said, "I'm grateful that we're not remembering you today either." And what he was saying is that he's glad to be among the living. My brother came close to getting killed in Iraq. He did. He almost lost his life in 2010 when he went there for the final year of his tenure with the Air Force. And I'm grateful for him tonight. And I'm grateful for Angela, my sister-in-law. And I'm grateful for all of you tonight, for you listening to us opine and us run our mouth tonight and encourage you on this Memorial Day, Monday night. We'll keep you updated on this Iranian situation. We've got a lot more thoughts. We've got a lot of video to play this week. Look for us double feature tomorrow night. We may have Leslie Millwee early, but we're going to hope to have Lori Mills tomorrow night late. And she's going to be talking about California and Spencer Pratt and that governor's race and mayor's race out there. And we'll talk about some other things this week. Wednesday night's faith, and then we got Thursday night. And no show Friday night. I'm taking a night off. I have been working, and we have been going nonstop since midnight Friday night. And I am needing just a little break, and I know you'll let me have that. And then we'll be back Sunday, of course, next Sunday for faith shows and all. And then we'll go back at it again next week. But I'm grateful for tonight that you've been with me on this Memorial Day. Put some fire in that house. Grateful you've been here. And I'll see you back here tomorrow night at either 7 or 8. And then a late show tonight, tomorrow night. And we'll give it a little wrap up. And we're grateful for all of you being with us tonight. And I really mean that. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless this great nation of America. Let me say it again. Thank you, families of the fallen. I salute those that have paid the ultimate price today. We love you. We thank you for the freedom. Our freedom comes from God. But I thank God for you that have offered your life, that we can do what we do tonight freely, and we can worship God freely, and we can have a nation that's free, at least for now. And we got to fight for this freedom, folks, because if we don't fight for it and we lose it, we're not getting it back. I'll leave you with that tonight. May the Lord bless you. Take care. Good night. See you back here tomorrow. No Bible study in the morning. Be good.